Howdy folks, I'm Kuhan, this is the Spit Take, and you're watching the NSFW Show Movie Draft League Weekly Recap. But Kuhan, you're asking, what is the NSFW Show Movie Draft League Weekly Recap Show? Well, concerned chat realmite, the NSFW Show Movie Draft League Weekly Recap Show is where I tell you about all the updates and goings-ons that are happening in the NSFW Show Movie Draft League. From news about the movies that have been coming out, to all the new stats that have been coming out, and it'll be released once every Thursday, with daily episodes coming out telling you quick stats as we go along. So, without further ado, let's get right into it! Let's start off with a recap of what movie everybody's purchased. Brian had an interesting strategy trying to buy out all of April with Source Code, Your Highness, Arthur, Scream 4, and Fast 5. Then he continued on through the rest of the summer with Zookeeper, or Zookeeper, and Captain America the First Avenger. Now, his plan to buy out all of April failed when Justin's The Darkest Hour was moved to next year or the winter or something, I don't know. So Justin's movies are Prom, Thor, Kung Fu Panda 2, and Super 8. Tomas Barit went on record saying that his strategy was similar to Massaworm's, which may eventually lead to his downfall, as Massaworm clearly was able to outbid him in some places. So Tom's movies include, or are exactly, X-Men First Class, Larry Crown, Cowboys and Aliens, The Smurfs in 3D, Rise of the Apes. Sarah Lane, not to be confused with the ballerina of the same name, went hard and fast for the comedies, purchasing Priest, Bridesmaids, The Hangover 2, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 2, The Change-Up. Now, Massaworm, or C. Robert Cargill, saved all of his money for the big movies, spending, decent chunks of money on each of them, purchasing Green Lantern, Transformers, Dark of the Moon, Conan the Barbarian, Final Destination 5. Now, Raygun 01, Jason Howell's strategy, was to purchase up a lot of the kids' movie, partially because he has a very young daughter. So his movies include Pirates of the Caribbean, On Stranger Tides, Cars 2, Spy Kids 4, All the Time in the World. It's going to be interesting to see where the league goes from here, so let's move on right into the news. Alright, so this past Friday, April 1st, Source Code opened to rave reviews, with Rotten Tomatoes giving it an 88%, The Guardian raving about it, and even Roger Ebert threw it 3.5 stars. Brian stole this film for 9 measly Kuhan quid, so it'll be interesting to see where it goes from here. Over the past week or so, some new Super 8 clips have dropped. I'm sure you can see it behind me right now. You can probably find the full stuff in the description box below. Green Lantern, 10 minutes of footage were shown at CinemaCon and Wondercon, with a select 4 minutes being released to the internet. That's being played behind me as well, and you'll be able to find that in the link description box below. Alright, on to some statistics and leaderboards. Brian is clearly in the lead as he owns most of April, and the only movie that's come out so far is Source Code, which has made this much money. On the chat realm side, it's a 177-way tie between everyone who owns Source Code. Clearly tomorrow these numbers will change, as 2 people went with Brian and own Your Highness and Arthur in addition to Source Code. I'm assuming that those 2 will be the top in the leaderboard, and then it'll be the next, 18 or 22 if I remember correctly. So check that out when it comes out. Alright guys, tomorrow is the 8th of April 2011, which means that 2 new draft films are coming out, Your Highness and Arthur. So be sure to check those out if you want to help out Brian. Otherwise, you can just skip them. And that's it for this edition of the NSFW Show Weekly Movie Draft Draft Show. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at Kuhan, or you can find me online at iamkuhan.com. This video was edited by the chat rooms on Blendermf. You can find him at twitter.com/Blendermf, or I'm sure he has a website somewhere. You can follow the blog that I've got all my news from, or most of it at least. You can follow that at, insert the new title of the blog here. And you can also follow his creator, DudeBro9000, on Twitter right here. And also, you can follow Dan Dirks, who created the fantastic draft.nsfwshow.com. He edited a lot of that stuff by hand, putting that all together. Follow him, twitter.com/Dan Dirks, and I don't know, I think he's dandirks.com, but don't quote me on that. And also follow everybody who's involved in the draft, at Schwood, at Justin R. Young, at Raygun01, at Ace Detect, at Sarah Lane Rocks, at Massaworm, at movie_draft. I think there's an at NSFW draft 2011 or something like that. Follow all those guys and on Twitters, and then you can see them, you know, kicking witty banter back and forth when Brian's got every single movie in April, and Brian's like, "Haha, I'm winning," and then the second that a new movie comes out, it's like, "Oh no, I'm losing." So yes, check all of that out, and until next time, I'll see you next Thursday. Which is why it just took me about 8 or 7 and then hit her. This is all gonna go at the end of it, isn't it? Okay. Habit. Well, it seems I'm at an impasse. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? Brief update. I'm putting my green screen back down. It's not together to blow up by duct tape. I was about to fall right there, which I actually did earlier, putting this back up. Okay.